It's no coincidence that you're here right now. As these words find their way into your awareness, something profound is shifting in the quiet, unseen architecture of your soul. Your presence here isn't random. This message hasn't reached you by accident. You're standing on the edge of an internal turning point, a threshold your spirit has sensed for longer than your conscious mind wants to admit. What you're about to explore isn't shallow motivation or empty encouragement. This is the unveiling of a deep psychological process, one that marks the moment when the soul begins its journey of reclamation. Perhaps you've noticed strange things lately. A song from your past, playing 3 times in a single day from completely different sources. A book falling open to the exact passage that speaks to a question weighing on your heart. Thoughts arriving in your mind that feel like they don't quite belong to you. You meet someone who says the exact words you needed to hear, or you overhear the conversation that addresses the precise dilemma you've been wrestling with in private. Most people dismiss these as random quirks of fate and move on. But you feel something more. You sense an intelligence at work, a pattern weaving itself through your days. These are not coincidences. They are what depth psychology calls synchronicities, meaningful patterns where your inner world and outer reality touch and reflect one another. They are breadcrumbs left by your own psyche, preparing you for what's coming. This phenomenon intensifies when transformation is near. The universe, or perhaps your own unconscious mind, begins speaking to you in a language older than words. Numbers repeat themselves. Animals appear at significant moments. Dreams carry messages so vivid, you wake up knowing something has changed, even if you can't articulate what. Your soul doesn't operate on schedules or timelines. It speaks in symbols, in images, in those strange encounters that make you pause and wonder. When a great homecoming approaches, the unconscious sends out its scouts. It's preparing you even when you don't know what you're being prepared for. Before we go deeper into what your psyche is trying to tell you, if this resonates with where you are right now, hit that like button and subscribe. What we're exploring together will change how you see your entire life story. Your body knows first, always. You've been exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't fix. Your skin feels more sensitive. Sound seems sharper. Some mornings, you catch a scent from childhood that hasn't been present for decades, and suddenly, you're transported to a feeling you can't name. Colors appear more saturated. Music moves through you differently. You cry at commercials you would have ignored a year ago. This isn't your imagination failing. This is your psyche extending its antenna, sensing that profound recalibration is on the horizon. Old memories have been surfacing without warning. Not nostalgia, something different. More like unfinished business demanding attention. A moment from 3rd grade when you were humiliated and learned to make yourself smaller. The day you stopped painting because someone laughed at your work. The relationship where you first learned to abandon your needs to keep the peace. You find yourself tearing up at things that never used to affect you. Feeling rage that seems disproportionate to the trigger. Unable to tolerate situations and people you've accommodated for years. The conversation that used to be merely annoying now feels suffocating. The job that was tolerable has become unbearable. The relationship that functioned now feels like slow death. These aren't symptoms of something wrong. They're symptoms of something waking up. The unconscious speaks through the body when consciousness refuses to listen. That inexplicable restlessness, keeping you awake at 3 in the morning. That's not insomnia. That's your soul knocking, asking if you're finally ready to pay attention. That tension in your jaw. That's all the words you've swallowed. That weight on your chest. That's the grief you haven't allowed yourself to feel. You might be having vivid dreams again. Childhood homes with rooms you've never seen. Water rising or receding. Being chased by something you can't see. Falling without hitting ground. standing naked in public. These aren't random neural firings. They're messengers carrying information your waking mind has been too afraid to face. They're showing you what you've been avoiding, what needs to be integrated, what's trying to emerge. What you're experiencing is the shadow's first whisper. All those parts of yourself you've kept locked away, all that raw life energy you've had to suppress to be acceptable, it's pressing against the door. And that door is beginning to tremble. Your system is preparing for what it knows is inevitable. The return of everything you sent into exile. Somewhere in your past, you learned that your true self wasn't safe. Maybe you were too loud and got punished for it. Maybe you expressed a need and were shamed. Maybe you showed your full intensity and watched people pull away. Maybe you succeeded and felt the cold distance of envy. Maybe you failed and internalized the message that you weren't good enough. So you made an unconscious bargain. You agreed to trade your essence for a sense of belonging. You learned that if you conformed, you'd be loved. If you stayed quiet, you'd be safe. If you made yourself useful, you wouldn't be abandoned. This wasn't a conscious decision. You were a child. You did what children do. You adapted to survive. This is what we call the original wound. It comes in 3 archetypal forms. The wound of abandonment teaches you that your presence alone isn't enough. You become the one who gives, and gives terrified that if you stop performing, you'll be left. You're the helper, the fixer, the one who puts everyone else's needs before your own. Not because you're naturally selfless, but because you learned that your value lies in your utility. The wound of invisibility tells you that your true self is either too much or not enough. You learn to hide, to dim your light, to never take up space. You become a ghost in your own life, present, but not really there. You master the art of being whatever others need, while your authentic self suffocates in silence. The wound of conditional worth convinces you that love must be earned through achievement, through service, through being whatever others need you to be. You become the achiever, the perfect one, the one who never fails, because failure means unworthiness. You climb every ladder, check every box, and still feel empty because no external accomplishment can fill an internal void. These wounds aren't your identity. They were survival strategies. When you were young and powerless, they protected you. The adaptive self you created, that persona you learned to wear, it saved your life. And for that, it deserves gratitude, not contempt. But here's what nobody tells you. The protection that saves you at 7 becomes the prison that suffocates you at 37. The mask that kept you safe eventually keeps you from living. What served you then betrays you now. And your soul knows the difference. It knows when the lesson is complete. It knows when the costume has become a cage. That's why you're here now, feeling this pressure from within. That's why everything that once worked suddenly doesn't. That's why you can't keep pretending anymore. The privilege of a lifetime is becoming who you truly are. But first you have to acknowledge who you were forced to become. You have to see the wound clearly, not to dwell in it, but to understand how it shaped you. Because you cannot heal what you cannot see. Right now, you might be moving through what feels like a breakdown, profound exhaustion. Nothing makes sense anymore. The things that used to motivate you feel hollow. Relationships that sustained you for years suddenly feel empty. You can't find the energy for pursuits you once poured your heart into. Let me tell you what's really happening. This is not a breakdown. This is a breakthrough trying to happen. For years, you've been holding up a building that was never yours, on a foundation that was never stable. You've been defending an identity that was a costume. And now your entire system is shutting down. This is good. This is necessary. What's collapsing isn't you. It's the infrastructure built on someone else's blueprint. It's not your strength failing, it's your addiction to appearing strong, finally breaking. It's not your worth dissolving, it's your belief that worth must be proven. In alchemy, they called this the nigredo, the blackening stage. Everything must be broken down to its essential components before transformation can occur. The old form must die, so the true form can emerge. Your exhaustion is wisdom. It's telling you this way of living is finished. Your emptiness is clarity. It's telling you that you've given enough of yourself to things that didn't honor you. Your desire to withdraw is direction. It's telling you to go inward, because that's where the answers live. When things transform into their opposite, when what once felt solid suddenly crumbles, you're not witnessing failure. You're witnessing the necessary death before rebirth. There is no light without shadow, no psychic wholeness without imperfection. What if this collapse is the most intelligent thing your psyche has ever done? What if it's forcing you to stop, to turn inward, to finally listen to what you've been avoiding for years? You cannot go around the darkness, you can only go through it. There's an ancient concept called the Nikia, the descent into the underworld of one's own psyche. Every hero's journey includes this passage. Every true transformation requires it. You must descend before you can rise. This isn't metaphor. This is the actual psychological terrain you must traverse. What lives in your underworld, everything you've been running from. The rage you had to swallow because expressing it wasn't safe. The grief you weren't allowed to feel because you had to be strong for everyone else. The desires you had to bury because they didn't fit the acceptable script. The wild, untamed parts of yourself that got locked away because they were too much, too intense, too real. The creativity that was ridiculed, the sensitivity that was mocked, the power that was feared. This is what we call the shadow. Not evil, not bad. Just everything about yourself you were taught was unacceptable. Every quality you rejected to be loved. Every impulse you suppressed to be approved of. Every truth you silenced to maintain peace. The shadow is the repository of your unlived life, the treasure chest of everything you could have been if you hadn't learned to be afraid. And here's the paradox that changes everything. What you fear most contains what you need most. The treasure is always guarded by the dragon. You cannot reclaim your power without first confronting what you've been afraid to face. The very thing you've spent your life avoiding holds the key to your liberation. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This descent isn't punishment. It's the only path to wholeness. It's the only way to stop being at war with yourself. The journey down is disorienting. You may feel like you're losing your mind. You might question everything you once believed. Old certainties crumble. Identity becomes fluid. This is terrifying because the ego craves stability, definition, solid ground. But this dissolution is necessary. You're not falling apart. You're falling into yourself. The underworld is not hell. It's the basement where you locked away your power, your passion, your fierce, authentic voice. And you are finally ready to break down that door. You are ready to meet what you abandoned there. You are ready to bring it back into the light. At some point, without anyone presenting you with a document, you signed invisible contracts, unconscious agreements that shaped every decision you've made since. I will stay small so you feel big. I will be the good one so you don't have to look at yourself. I will carry your pain so you don't have to feel it. I will not succeed beyond you. I will abandon my truth to maintain peace. These contracts form in family systems through cultural conditioning and trauma bonds. They're passed down like genetic code, and the cost of honoring them is your life force itself. Depression, resentment, chronic illness, creative death. The terror of breaking these contracts is real. You fear abandonment. You carry guilt. You don't know who you'll be without them. But here's the truth that will set you free. You cannot heal and honor a contract that requires you to stay wounded. The permission you're waiting for will never come from outside. Your parents won't give it. Your partner won't give it. Your friends won't give it. The only permission that matters is the one you give yourself. Your homecoming requires you to terminate these agreements, to say with every fiber of your being, I withdraw my signature. This is no small decision, because those contracts have defined you. Without them, you may not know who you are, and that's precisely where your freedom lies. You don't know who you are because you've never been allowed to be. There's a difference between the ego and the self. The ego is the conscious personality, the I you think you are. It's constructed, adaptive, defensive. But the self is something far more profound. It's the true center, the totality of who you are beneath all the conditioning and adaptation. It's the organizing principle of your entire psyche, the compass that always points toward your authentic north. And right now, your self is refusing to stay buried. You're experiencing sudden clarity about what you will no longer tolerate. Boundaries are forming without you having to rehearse them. You're saying no and feeling peace instead of panic. Old passions are reawakening. Things that used to matter feel trivial. Things you ignored for years suddenly feel urgent. You're rearranging priorities without consciously deciding to. This isn't arrogance. This is remembrance. You're not becoming someone new. You're becoming who you've always been beneath the adaptation. The self is our life's goal, the completest expression of that fateful combination we call individuality. And when it begins to rise, everything changes. Not because the world shifts, but because your relationship to it does. You feel it physically, a warmth in your chest, your feet more solid on the ground, your breath expanding in ways it hasn't for years. You're landing in your body, in your life, in yourself. You can feel the difference between speaking from ego and speaking from self. One feels tight and defensive. The other feels open and true. You start noticing what drains your energy and what feeds it. You become acutely aware of which environments diminish you and which ones allow you to breathe. You can sense immediately when you're betraying yourself, even in small ways. And increasingly, you find you're unwilling to do it. This is what individuation feels like. Not becoming perfect, but becoming whole. Not transcending your humanity, but finally inhabiting it fully. Not rising above your flaws, but integrating them into the totality of who you are. What you're feeling isn't you breaking, it's you breaking through. It's the emergence of something that was always there, waiting for the conditions that would allow it to surface. And those conditions are now. Becoming yourself requires separation. Not necessarily physical distance, but psychological differentiation. You must separate from parental complexes, from collective expectations, from relationships that only knew your false self. This is perhaps the most painful part of the journey because it feels like loss. And this is where it gets painful. Not everyone will understand your transformation. Some people will be confused. Others will be threatened. Those who benefited from your adaptation will want the old you back, the version that was convenient, that didn't ask hard questions, that was always available. They'll say you've changed, and they'll say it like an accusation. They're right. You have changed. You've woken up. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But some people don't want to transform. They want you to stay the same, so they don't have to change. Your growth forces them to look at their own stagnation. Your authenticity highlights their performance. Your boundaries illuminate their violations. You're not losing people. You're finding out who is real. You're discovering which connections were based on your authentic self and which were based on your performance, which relationships can evolve, and which were never meant to last beyond a certain chapter. Some relationships will deepen through this process. The people who truly love you will be curious about who you're becoming. They'll ask questions. They'll give you space to be different. They'll miss the old dynamic, but they'll choose the real relationship over the comfortable one. These are your people. But others will fight your transformation with everything they have. They'll use guilt, manipulation, anger, withdrawal. They'll tell you you're being selfish, that you're changing for the worse, that you're not yourself. The irony is exquisite. They're saying you're not yourself, precisely because you're finally becoming yourself. This loneliness is temporary, but necessary. There's a particular kind of solitude that comes with individuation. Not the bitter loneliness of isolation, but the luminous solitude of one who has found their own direction. One who no longer follows the herd, but walks their own path. One who would rather be authentically alone than falsely accompanied. And in that solitude, you finally find true companionship with yourself. That is the most important relationship you will ever have. Because if you cannot be alone with yourself, you'll always need others to distract you from that discomfort. And that need becomes a cage. For years, you've been searching for center in all the wrong places, in romantic relationships, in career achievements, in the opinions of others, in control and perfection. But the center cannot be found outside. The axis around which your entire life revolves exists within you. When you find it, everything changes. Not the circumstances, but your experience of them. Criticism doesn't shatter you anymore. Praise doesn't define you. You can stand alone without feeling lonely. Decisions become simple, not easy, but clear. Your breath deepens naturally. Your shoulders drop. Your mind quiets. You stop needing constant validation, not because you've become arrogant, but because you've tapped into a different source. That source is you. Your inner knowing, your unwavering yes, and your clean no. This is the homecoming. Not reaching a destination, but arriving into yourself. The return to the center you've been carrying all along. There are two kinds of time. Chronological time, the ticking of the clock, the linear march from past to future. And Kairos, the appointed moment when everything can change. The supreme moment. The opening where transformation becomes possible. Your comeback is a Kairos moment. It cannot be scheduled or forced. It happens when the tension between who you are and who you've been pretending to be becomes unbearable. When the pain of conforming finally outweighs the fear of being free. When your soul's patience runs out. That moment is now, not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Not when conditions are perfect. Not when everyone approves. Now, you are hearing these words because something inside you is already awake. Your psyche has guided you here to confirm what you already know in your bones. To validate the knowing you've been afraid to trust. You are on the cusp of the greatest comeback of your life. Not because you're about to gain something new, but because you're about to reclaim what was always yours. Your power, your clarity, your voice, your right to be exactly who you are, your capacity to feel deeply, to create freely, to speak truthfully. The fierce aliveness you had before the world taught you to be smaller. This comeback is not a return to past glory. It's not about becoming someone new. It's the radical moment-by-moment decision to live from your center, from your truth, from your non-negotiable essence. It's the choice to stop apologizing for existing, to stop explaining yourself, to stop seeking permission to be. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. This is the difference between fantasy and reality, between wishing and becoming. between hoping for change and embodying it. Your soul has been waiting for you to come home. Stop making it wait. It has sent you every signal it could. Exhaustion to force you to stop. Breakdown to force you to rebuild. Pain to force you to pay attention. Synchronicity to show you that you're on the right path. The question isn't whether you feel ready. The question is whether you're willing. Willing to let the mask fall. Willing to terminate the contracts. Willing to descend into your own depths and retrieve what you abandoned there. Willing to stand in your truth even when it's uncomfortable. Willing to disappoint people who only loved your performance. Willing to live as yourself, even if it costs you everything you thought mattered. Your comeback has already begun. The moment you felt that first whisper, the moment synchronicity led you here, the moment you recognized yourself in these words. You're not preparing for transformation. You're in it, right now, as you hear this. So what will you do? Will you continue playing the role you were assigned? Or will you finally give yourself permission to exist as you are? Will you keep waiting for conditions to be perfect? Or will you accept that the only perfect condition is this present moment with all its imperfection and uncertainty? The return to yourself is not a single event. It's a lifelong practice of choosing authenticity over acceptance, of choosing truth over comfort, of choosing wholeness over perfection. But it begins now, with this breath, with this decision, with this moment of recognition. If you felt something shift while listening to this, if you recognized yourself in these words, share in the comments which part resonated most deeply. Tell me where you are on this journey, and if you're ready to continue this descent into the depths of the psyche, into the profound wisdom of your own soul, subscribe to this channel. Because your comeback isn't coming. It's here, it's happening right now, in the space between these words and your awareness. And I'll be walking this path with you into the darkness and back into the light for as long as it takes. Until next time, remember this. You were never broken. You were only waiting to remember who you are. And that remembering is not a distant future possibility. It is the eternal, now always available, always calling you home.